Do you know the greatest superhero movie? Well, I do. It's called Sky High. It's a Disney Channel classic movie. And it is so interesting. We start by meeting the family. We have a mom and a dad who are super.
The Commander and Jetstream.
As interesting, the mom's flying across the Leaning Tower of Pizza, but she also picks up pizza. The writers are really onto something here.
Way home from work.
And so she has this pizza and flies around the entire world back to her house. So that leaves me two questions. One, is the pizza just completely cold and disgusting by the time she gets home? How fast is she flying? And two, so these superheroes are for the entire planet, apparently. Because you have other superhero movies like Iron Man, where he's like, you know what? If you're not in New York, we don't care about you. They're superheroes, but they also sell real estate for a living.
I know that selling real estate is just our cover.
And they're trying to win a trip to Hawaii.
But I think we're in line to win that sales trip to Hawaii.
But I'm confused because they regularly fly around the world, apparently, to get pizza for dinner. Why do they need a trip to Hawaii? Why do they need plane tickets to Hawaii? Can't she just fly them there? The premise of this entire movie is that the son of these two superheroes, his name is Will, and he's going to a special high school for superhero kids. They call it Sky High. That's the name of the movie. The son is getting ready for school and he's like, I can't wait to go in the family business. And his dad's like, yeah, the family business. He's like, real estate, right, Dad?
They're following me into the family business.
Real estate?
Does he even know that his parents are superheroes? I'm confused. They don't really sell real estate. That's just a cover, right?
Maybe the next time I punch a meteor hurtling toward Earth, I'll be the one who shatters into a million pieces.
Wait, hold on. So the dad is punching meteors? How is he even getting up there? I don't think he can fly. Is his wife flying him up there? Can he breathe in space? Does he need a super suit to get there? Once he blasts the meteor, once he punches it into a million pieces, is he flying around into space?
Good morning, Mrs. Stronghold.
Morning.
I noticed you had some recyclables in the trash. I took the liberty of moving them for you.
So Layla is Will's best friend, and she's also super. A super nerd, am I right? Her mom talks to animals, and apparently animals don't like being eaten, so she refuses the breakfast.
Plenty of eggs, bacon.
No thanks. You know how my mom can communicate with animals? Apparently they don't like being eaten.
But how do they know that? Is she asking the animals if they like being eaten as they're being eaten? Maybe they don't know if they like being eaten if you're asking them before they're being eaten. Will's mom is like, this girl is a freak.
How about some juice?
So she offers her some juice. I think it's probably orange juice. And Layla's like, yeah, I'll take some juice. But later we find out her superpower, Layla's superpower, is making plants grow. Do plants not care about being eaten? Or in this case, drunk? So kind of a double standard there now, Layla, isn't there?
Reports of a situation downtown. The Commander and Jetstream are on their way.
What a crappy TV. What is this, 2005? Okay, so no, he can't fly.
Okay, what if he forgets his lunch?
Josie, you've got...
She's just his transportation. What a loser. That is so embarrassing. I would rather walk than be carried like this to go fight crime.
Lunch!
She carries him around and launches him like a rocket at stuff. So it's a very specific use case for his superpower, because I think his superpower is just punching stuff. Which leads me to my next question. Where are all these super villains coming from? Because in every superhero movie, there's super villains and there's superheroes. So do the superheroes just like pop up and then people are like, I guess we have to be super villains to fight them? Or are there super villains first and then they're like, somebody's like, I guess I gotta be a superhero and go fight the villain now. It's like a chicken and the egg, but a chicken and super. Sky High has a special school bus, so they take the school bus to school.
Morning.
And the bus driver likes Will. I mean, really likes Will. Like too much likes Will.
What's your name, freshman?
Will Stronghold.
Everyone, it's Will Stronghold, son of the Commander and Jetstream. My name's Ron Wilson, Sky High bus driver. If there's anything I can do to make your journey more comfortable, please let me know.
Yeah, you can stop touching me.
You two, up. The seat behind Ron Wilson belongs to Will Stronghold.
Will and Layla seem to not understand their relationship. I think Layla thinks they're dating, but Will does not believe that they're dating.
So he can sit with his girlfriend.
Layla? No, she's just my friend.
Yeah, totally.
Does she think she's dating Will? We'll circle back around to this later because it's an important part of the story.
He's like my brother.
Yeah, if you're from the South.
Is this the bus to Sky High?
Shh! What are you, crazy? guess you want every supervillain in the neighborhood to know we're here.
Apparently whispering Sky High on the school bus is enough to give it away that they're a superhero bus. But the bus blasting through a road close sign and off an unfinished bridge is not enough to give it away. Also, they're using this bridge to launch off to get to school. So what happens when the bridge is finished? They're like, sorry, there's no more school. We don't know how to get to school. Just massive rockets on the side of their school bus to blast them off to high school. How is their hair blowing? They're in an enclosed school bus with the windows closed and the windshield. So the bus driver, mind you, this is the first day they've ever been on this school bus, and the bus driver's doing loop-de-loops on this school bus. And all the kids are freaking out. He's like, what? You little loser freshman?
Freshman.
It's like, bro, that would freak anybody out. And if you look at how the bus driver is controlling the bus, he still only has a steering wheel. It changes the sign on the side of the bus and gives it blasters to blast off and like seatbelts. You think if they could engineer a bus to have a bunch of rocket blasters pop out the back end, they could change the controls as well. Maybe he's not trying to do the loop-de-loops on purpose. The bus is just doing, he's like, I can only go left and right. The bus driver is explaining how Sky High stays in the school.
Kept aloft by the latest in anti-gravitational propulsion.
I honestly can't think of any reason this school needs to be floating. As it's floating, it's easier to destroy it and make it fall out of the sky. Foreshadowing. It can have problems, and the parents have no idea where this school is.
Her location is supplied only to a handful of highly qualified individuals, such as myself, Ron Wilson, bus driver.
He's just driving them off up into the sky somewhere, and the parents have no idea where they're going. If you have the technology to make a school bus that flies off a bridge and blasts off into Sky High in a school to be floating, I feel like you'd have the technology just to make the school invisible or something. Why not just make it invisible to the outside world and leave it on the ground? That's another issue. So if you miss the school bus after school, can you just not get home? You just have to sleep at Sky High that night? Unless you can fly? That's like the only way you could get home if you miss the bus, unless you fly. So even if you have superhero parents who can fly to come get you, they don't know where the school is because only a couple people know where the school is. As they come in to land for school, there's not that many buses out front, but this is a huge school. How many students are enrolled here? There seems to be a lot of flaws with the Sky High concept, but I guess if they didn't put the school in the sky, they wouldn't have been able to make this movie. Has anyone ever fallen off the edge? Now we meet Gwen Grayson.
I'll take over from here. Hey everybody, I'm Gwen Grayson, your student body president.
She's some senior girl and Will has the hots for her.
I know I have. I've just had the greatest experience and I've made the greatest friends.
And it's like romantic video montage. They slowed down the video but left the audio at the normal speed so it doesn't match up with her mouth anymore.
I've just had the greatest experience and I've made the greatest.
So it is a thing.
You can just remember those few simple rules. I promise you will not fall off the edge of the school.
Kids can fall off the edge of the school if they get too close. If you have a floating school, it seems like that should be like common sense to make some sort of thing so students can't fall off of it, even if it's not a super thing, like a fence. Literally anything to stop kids from falling off. Or like basketball or soccer. What if they're playing soccer and they just launch a soccer ball and poor Billy just gets domed in the head from a soccer ball that fell from 40,000 feet in the air?
I am Principal Powers. A few moments. You will go through power placement and your own heroic journey will begin.
This is Principal Powers. And now they're in power placement, which means that each student has a different superpower. Like Will's parents, one of them can fly and one of them can be thrown into things. Every student has a different superpower, and that's what power placement is. You can either be a hero or you can be a sidekick, which they call hero support.
Power placement is how they decide where you go.
The hero track, the loser track.
There's a loser track?
I believe the preferred term is hero support.
Hero support sounds way worse than a sidekick. I would rather be a sidekick than hero support. The principal's powers. The principal's power is that she can turn into bubbles and fly away. So there's room for really all sorts of superpowers at this school.
My name is Coach Boomer. You may know me as Sonic Boom.
Coach Sonic Boom, he has a big role to play in the power placement. He decides if you're going to be a hero or if you're going to be a loser sidekick.
Here's how power placement is going to work. You will step up here and show me your power. I will then determine where you will be assigned. Hero or sidekick?
So this gym teacher is going to look at you for 5 seconds and then determine the fate of the rest of your career without really knowing you. And if you're wondering what the gym teacher's superpower is, because you're like, oh my gosh, if he's deciding the fate of all these kids' careers, then his superpower must be amazing. Well, his superpower is that he can talk loud.
I said, are we clear?
Like, he did a superpower to the kids in the gym, and they all thought it was loud. Like, oh my gosh, that was loud. But they're all still standing there. They didn't fall over. Their glasses didn't break. Yes! So he literally just talks loud, which means I have a superpower too. So all the kids get their power placement, and he just randomly drops cars on kids?
Car.
What if that kid couldn't hold it and he just got smashed by the car that dropped out of the high school gym ceiling? And the rest of the power placement is nonsense. This dude is literally just making it up as he goes along. Some kid's got 6 arms, some kid like spit acid.
Super spit. Sidekick. Acid spit. 0!
Like, how is spitting acid going to do anything unless you're within spitting distance of the villain? And in the movie, it only shows that the spit dissolved a little bit of the concrete, so you'd have to spit on a villain like 50 times to stop him. But you're like, hero! Like, oh, okay, that sounds great. I guess this guy's a hero now. And some powers are just worthless. Like, this girl turns into a guinea pig, which is worse than a sidekick because that would literally just make the superhero's day and job harder. You're like, oh my gosh, I gotta fight this giant villain. You're like, oh crap, I gotta keep track of this guinea pig running around. At this point, gym class has been going on for a while for power placement, so they take a break, they go eat lunch.
The cafeteria staff requests Sidekick stop ordering hero sandwiches.
Will's just chilling in the cafeteria, and there's just this kid that is staring at Will like the entire time, like he just looks so mad at Will.
Okay, am I crazy or is that guy really looking at me? Dude.
Obviously he has beef with him. Well, turns out the kid staring at Will, his name is War and Peace.
That's War and Peace.
That's War and Peace?
Which is probably my favorite part of this entire movie. So props to the writers on naming War and Peace, War and Peace. It was the best of times. It was.
Where do I come in?
Your dad busted his dad.
Will's dad put Warren's dad in prison because Warren's dad was a super villain and Will's dad is the commander, a superhero that can punch things. Which leads me into 2 trains of thought. 1, so evil villains' kids can also go to Sky High? And 2, how does Warren know who Will's dad is? They all have secret identities and they acted like this was a really big thing at the beginning of the movie.
Mom's a hero and his dad's a supervillain.
Ah, that's complicated. No wonder Warren's so mad. Gwen's back. She's got a little smirk and then she moves on. Oh crap, it's Warren! Remember how I was talking about the car thing earlier about what if the coach just dropped a car on somebody who didn't have the power? He actually does that to Will.
Car.
And I didn't remember that he dropped the car on Will from years ago when I watched the movie. I had just written that into the script earlier because I thought it was so dumb, but he actually does it to Will. Instead of super strength, what if the baseline of a superpower was flying? And the coach was like just launching people off the side of the schools to see if they could fly. It doesn't seem like a great litmus test, but I don't know. I've never done power placement. This Coach Sonic Boom guy seems like he's done it for at least 10 minutes now. So Will doesn't have a superpower. So he becomes a sidekick. And Coach Boom actually yells like louder this time and breaks stuff. Okay, editing Joshy here. I was editing this and I realized that look at the principal, her hair is blowing one way and the flower falls the other way. So Sonic Boom can change the laws of physics. Okay, back to your regular scheduled programming. I'm confused on what his power actually is. Will's in the nurse's office and she's like, oh my gosh, this kid is a complete loser.
You haven't called him yet, have you?
Like I want to be the one to tell the commander his son has no powers.
And she's like, I'm not going to be the one that tells the commander that his son doesn't have any powers. The nurse is afraid that Will's dad is going to kick her through a wall again.
I remember doing this to your father when he was just your age. Kicked me right through that wall.
The nurse is explaining to Will that sometimes 2 superhero parents have a kid. That kid might not get superpowers. And she's like, remember that loser bus driver? The one that was touching you? Yeah, that happened to him. He doesn't have any powers, but both of his parents were superpowers. So welcome to your fate, kid.
I know of only one. Ron Wilson, bus driver. There he is.
Okay, we're back at the parents selling real estate.
Walden, you bet we'd love to take a look. How are we briefing the president on supervillain infiltration of the IRS?
Yeah, that's called Congress. And of course, Will is scared to tell his dad that he doesn't have any superpowers. So he doesn't.
What was it you wanted to tell me about?
That I'm gonna kick your butt in pool.
When Will gets back to school, he's in a hero support class, and he finds out that his teacher was, at one point, his dad's sidekick.
I was paired with the commander.
I didn't know you worked for the commander.
I worked with the commander. We were a team.
You know what this reminds me of?
And that's where you have an assistant regional manager.
Yes, it is. Assistant to the regional manager.
Same thing.
This is also really important to the plot of the movie. Will doesn't have any superpowers, and his dad thinks he does. Okay, now that you're caught up, Will's hanging out with all the sidekicks, and his dad comes home early from saving the world.
Kids are all in here. Who's out there saving the world?
Dad, why are you home so early?
And finds Will there with all of his sidekick friends. And his dad's like, that's so nice of you to hang out with all those losers, those sidekicks.
Good for you, son. Kid of your stature hanging out with a bunch of sidekicks as a freshman? I didn't have the guts.
At this point, Will finally gets the courage to tell his dad that he doesn't have any superpowers and he's a sidekick.
Dad, I'm a sidekick, okay? I washed out of power placement.
Surprise! Those kids in the living room are hanging out with your loser, son, not the other way around. Anyway, Will's dad is super not happy about this. And his dad is like, Sonic Boom? That loser? That guy doesn't even know anything. He can't tell me what my son can do.
Oh, it's a power trip, Will. That's all it is. Sonic Boom. Try gym teacher, man.
Will's like, nah, dog, it's me. I'm the loser. It's not Sonic Boom. So his dad suggests the only natural thing he can think of. He wants to throw him in a vat of toxic waste?
Not without dropping him in a vat of toxic waste. Steve!
Oh no, where would we even find a vat of...
Steve!
To see if that gets his powers. And then a little bit of time goes on and the dad's like, you know what? I don't even care if he doesn't have any superpowers. We can still be a super family. We're gonna sell real estate together.
We will be the Stronghold 3, the greatest family the world has ever known.
You're right. You're right, and he can always go into real estate.
So apparently, selling real estate is their real job. It's not just a cover, because they seem to really like selling real estate. At the beginning of the movie, everyone thought that Will was going to be super cool and a hero because of his parents, but now he's just a sidekick, and so everyone's bullying Will as well. And part of that bullying is they trip Will, when he's walking through the cafeteria, into War and Peace.
Whoa!
And so Will's like, oh my gosh, Warren, I'm so sorry that I tripped into you.
Sorry.
You will be.
And Warren is trying to be cool, so he delivers the coolest line of the whole movie.
He's a sidekick!
We don't know if Warren is a hero. I'm guessing that he probably is, because his superpower is that he can turn himself on fire. So he's in hero class. So he should know sidekicks don't have sidekicks. That's like Hero 101 class. Come on, Warren. I'm not even at school and I know that. Obviously, he said it to sound cool, and he did. But we also learn as viewers of this movie that he doesn't pay attention to any of his classes. Right as Will is about to get blasted by Warren, he, at that moment, gets his superpowers.
Leave them alone!
He's strong.
I'm strong?
He's super strong.
And he lifts the table up, and now he's got super strength. So that they came in right at the exact right time. He takes Warren, and he hucks him at the wall. Now it's a real fight. It's a fair fight. They both have powers. And just like his daddy would have done, Will puts his hands up to like have a boxing match. And therein lies the problem with super strength. Alone, super strength doesn't have a lot of applications in like supervillain fights unless you're like boxing someone or like lifting up a train, because you would want to do that if you have super strength, I guess. Oh my God, Warren, does that hurt you? He looks like he's in a ton of pain just using his own superpowers. After this fight where they literally almost kill each other, they go to detention, they leave detention, they go home, and Will's dad, the commander, super stoked he's got super strength, not super speed. That'd actually be a better superpower.
So, Will, anything interesting happen at school today?
And the mom, as a responsible parent, is upset with Will because like, hey, You can't just beat the crap out of classmates at school. What the heck? The dad takes Will into the secret sanctum and he's like, just lie to your mom. Tell her I punish you. Anyway, here's a new Xbox.
If your mom asks, you tell her that I read you the riot act and I took away your Xbox.
But I don't have an Xbox.
Are you sure?
Then Will cracks his back and he's like, wow, you are super strong.
How can I be mad? Ow! Sorry. Ow! You are strong!
If that's the metric, my chiropractor is the strongest guy in the whole world. But really, if he was that strong, wouldn't he have just like snapped him in half? Or if you have super strength, are your bones not super strong? Like he goes to pick up a car and his arms just snap under the weight. Anyway, I got distracted by this whole situation. So now we've got a little bit more plot movement at this point. Some villain apparently has a camera in their secret sanctum and is just watching them, which is creepy, but he's an evil villain, so that's what they do.
We should crush him now. We know he has a weapon.
Patience! We've waited this long. When the time is right, we'll have our revenge.
But the villain watching them has a sidekick villain, which means that you can either be a hero or hero support, or you can be a villain or villain support. And the whole point of this movie is that you can show that everyone's important. Everyone. Even if you're a sidekick, you still have a role to play. You're important. And the most famous superheroes in the world, their son doesn't even have a superpower. He's a sidekick. But then he gets his power, so they reassign him to hero class. So I guess that part of the plot doesn't even matter anymore.
So I've got your new class schedule. Congratulations, you've been transferred to the hero class.
Will gets reassigned. He's in the hero class now, and there's no more lab partners available, so he gets paired up with Gwen. And her superpower is that she can make stuff.
That would only mean having to see you in summer school.
If I had a superpower, it would be that I could control Taco Bell with my mind. And this is where it gets crazy, because Will is now cool because he's part of the hero, so he's a cool guy now, and he really likes Gwen, but he's trying to make everything up to Layla because at lunch, a bunch of stuff happened, he was pretty rude at Layla. So Will's like, let's meet at the Paper Lantern for dinner tonight, I'll make it up to you, everything will be great.
Oh, let me make it up to you. Maybe tonight we can go to the Paper Lantern?
Except he doesn't go because Gwen shows up at Will's house and he totally forgets about Layla. His childhood best friend doesn't even care about her because now Gwen's over.
That is hilarious. There they are.
Gwen?
Hey.
Oh, this is
Gwen? So Layla is all alone at the Paper Lantern by herself, and guess who the waiter is?
Still working on that?
Hey.
Hey.
If you guessed War and Peace, you would be correct. And what do you know? He's actually a nice guy. It turns out Layla is in love with Will. Called it. I knew that the whole time.
I'm not in love with Will Strong. Is it that obvious?
Yeah.
Gwen is over at Will's house with his parents, and Layla is at the Paper Lantern with Warren. And so Gwen asks Will's parents to come to the homecoming because she's in charge of homecoming and they're going to receive some award.
We were hoping that you'd be the guest of honor and receive the award for Heroes of the Year.
And the reason I bring this up because this will be important for later. A bunch of stuff happens. Will is going to homecoming with Gwen now, and Layla says she's going to homecoming with Warren just to make Will mad.
We're in peace? You can't be serious. Layla, the guy's a psycho, and he's my biggest enemy. How could you go with him? When did you even start hanging out?
One thing leads to another. I don't even know what's happening at this point. They have Gwen calls a bunch of people and they're throwing a party at Will's house because his parents are gone, and Layla comes by and Gwen is super mean to Layla, and so Will finally steps up. He's like, hey, so he dumps Gwen because like, hey, you're so mean to my best friend Layla. So after this happens, Will's parents finally come home at the end of the party and they kick everybody out. Well, I guess it wasn't the end of the party, but since they got home, then it was the end of the party.
Party's over! Don't stop on our account.
And they're like, we fly to Europe for 2 hours and you throw a party, Will? What the heck?
Mother and I fly to Europe for 2 hours and you throw a party?
Unbelievable.
So not only can they fly anywhere they want, they can also fly super fast because they're probably somewhere in America and they're flying to Europe in 2 hours. So why do they need to win the prize to Hawaii if they can fly there in like 10 minutes? After all this happens, he dumps Gwen. He's like, I'm not going to homecoming, Dad.
We have to go to the homecoming dance. We all have to because we're introducing the world to the Stronghold 3.
And Will says he's not going to go, but the dad really wants to go.
Dude, you're so stupid.
Agreed. Anyway, apparently Warren and Will are friends now. Gosh, is this movie going to be over soon? Should I say this in the video? Apparently. Okay, let me bring you back up to speed. Will stays at home at the dance, but his parents still go to the high school dance. So he's looking through his dad's yearbook from when he was in high school. And when he's looking through it, he sees a picture of a girl that looks exactly like Gwen.
Gwen?
But that girl's in the yearbook from the dad's yearbook is named Sue Tenney. Then he sees the pacifier, which is some weapon that was used by a villain a long time ago. His dad, the commander, beat that villain and then took the pacifier weapon and put it in the secret sanctum as his trophy. So Will's still flipping through the yearbook and he sees a picture of Sue Tenney in the science club in the dad's yearbook, and she's holding the pacifier.
Oh no.
He's like, oh my gosh, and then he looks around the secret sanctum and then realizes that the pacifier weapon is no longer in the dad's secret sanctum. I forgot to mention, during the party, Will wanted to go smoochy smooch with Gwen, and so he took her into the secret sanctum, even after his dad said, don't take anybody down there, but he just didn't even listen, so he took her down there, and I'm guessing at that point is when the pacifier went missing. I didn't talk about her going down to the secret sanctum earlier, because I didn't really care, but apparently now it's integral to the plot, so good job, Josh. Also, something else I didn't talk about is earlier, literally the mom, dad, Gwen, and Will were all looking at that same exact yearbook. And not only were they looking at it together on the couch, the dad, the commander, was literally like, Sue Tenney? That girl's a weirdo.
Oh, whoa. Remember her? Huh? She was a weird one.
Oh, yeah, Sue Tenney.
But none of them realized it looks exactly like the girl sitting on the couch between them all. Wow, that was a lot. Anyway, let's bounce back to the homecoming dance and see what's going on up there. Gwen is giving a speech and turns out she's a villain? And she has the pacifier.
Special tribute to the most powerful super being ever to walk the halls of Sky High. Me!
And get this, her evil plot is to turn everyone into babies? I'm serious, that's what the pacifier does. It turns people back into babies. So now she's at the dance with everybody, including Will's parents, these famous superheroes, and she's just blasting everybody into babies.
Bye, baby.
What'd I miss?
So again, right on time, Will finds this in the yearbook, and he's like, oh my gosh, I gotta get to Sky High, but I don't know how to get up there. I can't fly, I can only punch things, and I don't even know where it is. So he calls his bus driver, and he flies him up to Sky High.
30 minutes. Coming after you. Got it. I was gonna say go get help.
So finally Will's at Sky High, he's running through the hallways, and he sees his friends, his sidekicks, because the sidekicks escaped and all the loser heroes got trapped in the cafeteria getting blasted into babies. And so Will's like, oh my gosh, you guys, I was so wrong. Sidekicks are just as important as superheroes.
It's gonna take all of us.
All of who? You and Warren? The rest of us are only sidekicks.
Just because you have powers, that doesn't make you a hero.
Oh, so Gwen is turning everyone back into babies so she can raise them as super villains instead of superheroes.
To start her very own supervillain academy and raise a generation of heroes from scratch as villains.
Through the entire movie, everyone thinks that Sue Tenney, the girl that was in Will's dad's yearbook, is Gwen's mom and was also named the Royal Pain. That was her supervillain name. And Royal Pain is the supervillain that Will's dad beat to get the pacifier in the first place. And we just thought Gwen looked exactly like her mom, Sue. Turns out, Sue is Gwen.
Royal Pain wasn't my mother. Royal Pain is me!
She accidentally turned herself into a baby when she was using the pacifier weapon before.
When the pacifier exploded, I wasn't destroyed. I was merely turned into a baby.
So Gwen is explaining all this to Will, and she's like, I'm actually Sue, and she's telling him the story about the pacifier, and how she was turned into a baby, and she remembers it all. So if she remembers everything from before to being turned into a baby, and then growing up, all the adults who just got blasted into being babies would remember their past adult selves anyway and be like, hey, Gwen, we're not super villains. We remember everything. Like you did, Gwen. This is a major plot hole. How does she not realize this? But I noticed that when she is talking, it sounds like Patrick Warburton.
Yes, I'm a girl, you idiot. How I ever lost to a fool like you, I'll never know. Now prepare to be pacified.
And I wasn't sure if that was just some weird voice effect that made her sound like Patrick, so I googled it, and Gwen Grayson is played by 2 actors. One of them is Patrick Warburton. So apparently when Gwen is Gwen, she's the girl actor, but when she is playing Royal Pain and her face is covered, it's voiced by Patrick Warburton. After I was watching this in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, so Royal Pain is Patrick Warburton. So in this scene where Will punches her helmet off, I was fully expecting to see Patrick Warburton there, and it wasn't, and it threw me for a loop. And that's not even a joke for the video. I actually thought I was going to see Patrick there. Looking back on it, I realize that doesn't make any sense, but that's what I thought. Will is still fighting with Gwen, or Will Payne, or Sue, or whatever her name is at this point, and she punches him, and he flies through the windows off the floating school. Except Will finds out that he can also fly.
Surprised? So am I.
And just when Will thinks he won, Gwen reaches over and hits the drop the floating school out of the sky button. See, I was saying how having a floating school was a bad idea.
The school is falling!
Thanks, I didn't know that, Layla. And the school's flying through the air, right about to crash, and right before it crashes into these people's houses, the sidekicks come through and fixes the problem by chewing this wire in the control room. Oh, did I forget to mention that the girl that turns into a guinea pig, she like runs through the school's pipe, so she stops the schools from falling. All the adults are turned back into adults, and the sidekicks save the day, which is the whole point of the movie. Except for Will was a superhero, and without Will, Royal Pain would have never been stopped, and so she would have won, but okay.
The sidekicks. I mean hero support.
Why don't we just call them what they really are, Josie?
Losers. Now they all dance like nothing happened, movie over. Oh wait, Will gets with Layla, now movie over. They should make a sequel where everyone's turned into old people. Thanks for watching. Please, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.